In this video, we will be adding and subtracting integers. So adding integers can seem very tricky, but once you know the rules, it becomes very easy. So let's work on these rules together. Rule 1 says if the signs are the same, we add and keep the signs. Example, -2, -4. In this case, -4 and -2 have the same sign. So we're going to add them and keep the sign. So this is equal to 4 plus 2 is 6, and we keep the sign. Let's move on to the second rule. Rule 2 says if the signs are different, we will subtract the numbers and keep the sign of the larger absolute value. In simpler words, if the signs are different, we'll subtract the numbers and keep the sign of the bigger number. It only makes sense if we said this was a negative number and we said this little circle in here is the positive number. So if we do take out this positive number, then this left here is the negative number, right? So this would be negative, or vice versa if it's positive or negative. Here's an example. Example is -2 plus 4. So here we see that we have positive and negative. This means we're going to subtract. And if we do subtract, what's 4 minus 2? That's 2. We should keep the sign of the larger number, the larger value. So which number is bigger? 2 and 4. Absolute value just means it's always going to be positive. So imagine the 2 is positive and 4 is positive. So which number is bigger, 2 or 4? Well, 4 is greater. So we will take the sign of the greater number, which gives us our answer as 2. Okay, let's work on some practice examples. -4 plus -6. We're adding two numbers with the same sign. So what do? We'll add them up and keep the same sign. So this is equal to 4 plus 6 is 10. And then we keep the negative sign. And that's our answer. What about, so if you do see a 5, this means positive 5, right? And this here is -3. The signs are different. So this means we'll subtract them and keep the sign of the greater number. So if we do subtract it, what do we get? 5 minus 3 is 2. Which number is greater, 3 or 5? Well, 5 is greater. And what's the sign of 5? Well, it's positive. So our answer is 2. What about -8 and 10? -8 and 10 have different signs. And what do we do with different signs? We subtract and take the sign of the greater number. So what's 10 minus 8? That is 2. Which number is greater between 8 and 10? Well, 10 is greater. And what's the sign? Well, it's positive. That means our answer would be +2. Now, subtracting integers is really just adding the opposite. Here's a few steps that would help you. So the rule here is if any number, let's say 2 or 3, minus another number 4 or 5, if we have this kind of setup, this is the same as A plus minus B. So this is something that you should know. And this is one of the rules that you should add to the previous rules we just spoke about. Here's an example. We have 5 minus -3. So what do? The signs are different, so we're going to add them. And this would give us 8, and we take the sign of the bigger number, which is 5 is positive, so that's +8. What about -4 minus 6? Well, this is equal to -4 plus -6. For this question, the signs are the same, so we'll add them and keep the sign of the greater number. So 6 plus 4 is 10, and then the negative sign is, because they're both negative, so -10. So let's work on some practice examples. The first one says 7 minus -2. So in this case, we have different signs, so we're going to add them and keep the sign of the greater number. So 7 plus 2 is 9. Which number is bigger between 7 and 2? Well, it's 7. And what's the sign of 7? Positive. So this here would be positive 9. Another question is negative 5 minus negative 3. The signs are the same, so we're going to subtract them. Remember, we're doing the opposite of addition. The signs are the same, so we'll subtract them. So this would be 2. And which number is greater between 5 and 3? Well, 5. What's the sign of 5? It's negative. So negative 2. So here's another question. Negative 8 minus 5. This is the same as negative 8 minus plus 5. What can we say about these two terms? They have different signs, so we'll add them. This would give us 13, and the larger number is 8. What's the sign of the larger number? Negative. And that's how we get our answers. If you found this helpful, make sure you hit subscribe and join our school community for more lessons, practice, and support. The link is in the description below. See you inside.